Welcome back, beautiful people. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I am your host, Zen Sams. Now, coming up in just a few, we have celebrity injector Jennifer Dilandro of Dolce Aesthetics. Dolce Aesthetics has locations right here in the tri state area, in Brooklyn and in Queens. And we're chatting about the Botox and filler craze. Now, has your 16-year-old recently asked you for plumpier lips or higher cheekbones? Well, apparently you're not alone. And for this reason, the UK did something about it. This past October 1st, the UK banned face injections for teens under the age of 18. They are no longer able to get dermal fillers or Botox after the passing of the Botulinum Toxin and Cosmetic Fillers Children Act. Now, what does the ban mean? Well, it's basically illegal to administer Botox or fillers to under 18-year-olds unless the treatment has been approved for use by a medical practitioner. Now, this means that young people cannot have these medical procedures for aesthetic reasons. And in the UK, the government estimates that 41,000 Botox style procedures were carried out on under 18-year-olds last year. Often, these non medical procedures were carried out by people with a lack of training and in unhygienic environments, putting young teens at risk of health complications. Now, remember, these procedures can be a permanent alteration to a young person's face at a time when they're not fully grown physically nor emotionally. And unlike breast enlargements and facelift operations, which are highly regulated for patients' safety, the non surgical cosmetic industry is still highly unregulated. This means that people who are not medical professionals can carry out Botox or fillers. And we've all heard of Botox parties. Now, teens have been accessing these procedures over recent years in the hope of achieving an Instagram face. Now, please note that Botox and fillers can be very safe when carried out in the right hands, but people should make sure that their practitioner is experienced and qualified. So, what does this mean for the US? Well, right here in America, in our very tri-state area, breaking it all down for us is celebrity injector Jennifer Dilandro. She's an adult nurse practitioner with a master's degree in nursing and now pursuing her doctorate in nursing and set to graduate this very spring. She holds 2 certificates for advanced dermal filler and Botox training, and she's the owner of 3 locations. Her 4th is slated to open this very fall in Rockville Center. Now, over the past 2 decades, Jennifer has injected thousands of patients and has obtained the highest injector level, which is expert level 5. She's listed as Allergan's top 250 injectors, ranked 84 in the US for 2021. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Thank you, Zen. I'm so happy to be here today. And this topic is something that I've been talking about for many, many years. As a person who has a medical aesthetics practice, and and I am an injector, and I have been doing it for so many years. This has been a topic that has been so big. There are so many people, and I think we discussed this before, even before the interview. You could go to a class, take a 2-day course, and I'm not even talking about somebody who is a lay person, that which means is somebody who is a doctor, an RN, a PA, a nurse practitioner. Now, even somebody with that basis of a medical background, after a 2-day course, is really not qualified to inject. Injectables is something that's very tedious. You have to be well versed in anatomy. You have to have the didactics. And not only that, you also really, really have to have an artistic ability. It's not all about didactics. It's like basically, giving an artist, a Picasso, a paint by numbers and painting with the numbers. That's not how it goes. There is a finesse to it, and there is an ability, and not everybody has that ability. Even your plastic surgeons.
I couldn't agree more. There is a total art behind it. You have to understand, the face extremely well. Psychofigurism is something that you should be well versed on, whereas your average injector isn't. But yes, you're right. Now, one could have not predicted the catastrophic effects of social media filters on our youth today,
Oh my
Jen.
God.
And the increased pressure to adhere to beauty standards is basically forcing young people to turn to cosmetic procedures when they're not fully developed. Now, we know that there are huge stressors on this Gen Alpha to conform to this unrealistic and unattainable ideal that they see on social media. What's your take on teenagers getting injectables, and what is your advice to teenagers on social media feeling the pressure to be perfect?
Well, first of all, I have a lot of patients who come in, who come in and say, I want to look like her. And they're showing me a picture of somebody on Instagram. And I say, honey, they don't even look like this. I go, you are trying to reach for something that is really not real. It's not a real thing. They don't look like this. This is a filter, and you're trying to chase after a filter, basically. And it is because of the social media that this is what's going on with young women and young men these days. It's I mean, patients that are coming in who are younger, I myself as a practitioner, I don't advocate patients coming in and doing Botox under 25 unless they do have a reason. There are exceptions. I don't believe that somebody should come in and do their lips under 18 unless there is an exception. And I do have parents come in and ask me, and I tell them, if you were my child, I would tell you to wait, and you should wait until you're of age to make that decision. I don't think that somebody below the age of 18, even a person at the age of 18, sometimes is not, emotionally equipped to even make this decision. It is a cost factor. It is something that has to be maintained. And, if mama and dad aren't going to pay for it, every time you come in every 3-4 months, now it falls on you. Are you going to be able to attain this? And this is where patients go to non licensed injectors, getting products from the internet that's black, that's on the black market, and this is where the problem arises. They get occlusions, they hurt, they get nerve damage. I can't tell you how many girls have come into me with occlusions on their lips and on their faces after going to an injector that does not have any right to ever inject.
That's crazy that this is even available on the black market. But,
Yes.
at the end of the day, this is the dangers that our teenagers are facing and the pressures that are out there. Now, you just touched on something that was, very important, and we're kind of on a time frame here, and I want to make sure we get it all in. But when is a great time to start getting Botox and fillers, in your opinion? Because you cater to a very elite VIP and celebrity crowd who are primarily in the entertainment industry or performers, and this is their bread and butter, so to speak. They're not looking for perfection. They're looking to fit the mold of what they're selling to their followers and viewers, so to speak, in terms of feeling more comfortable about themselves, and I can totally vouch for that. But what do you say to the average person who wants to know when's a great time to start getting this, like, preemptively?
Well, I mean, I will never tell anybody that they need anything. When patients come to me and they say, "Jen, what do I need?" I will never tell anybody that they need it because this is a luxury, not a necessity. However, I believe that anywhere from like the mid to late 20s is probably, a suitable time to start.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I
I
was
don't think
thinking.
anything younger than that, it should be like the norm. I think that, between mid 20s, late 20s.
Awesome. The next question I have, which is really, I'm sure my listeners want to know, is do you have an equal amount of men and women these days, or is this still fairly a ladies' market?
Well, it's a good question. I have had a big influx of men over probably the last 5 to 10 years, over probably about the 5 years. I had about maybe a 10% to 15% ratio of men to women. Now it's about 25 to 30 at this point.
That's craziness. The men are finally jumping on the
They're
bandwagon,
jumping
but you know
on.
what?
They want to look
I
young.
I love it. Okay, finally, listen, last question. Tell me about the O shot.
Oh, the O shot. The O shot is a procedure that we do. It's PRP, which we draw the patient's blood, we spin it down, we take their plasma, inject into the labia. We also do it for urinary incontinence, but the O shot typically is for sexual dysfunction. So it does increase your sexual appetite, if you will.
Wow, that's incredible. So even younger women, I know these days can feel the effect of a hormonal imbalance, as it relates to their sex life. So the O shot is otherwise called the orgasm shot.
Yes.
And that's crazy that you actually have a procedure that enables the body to use its own, basically what you're saying is its own growth factors to
Yes.
rejuvenate the vagina.
Yeah.
Basically, this is incredible. Listen, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. For those of you that have never heard of Dr. Jennifer, you have to check out her website. It's called Dolce Aesthetics NY. And you're also on social media with a huge amount of followers. Tell us
Yes.
about your social media real quick.
Yeah, my social media is Dolce Aesthetics New York, and we do have a big following. The we do a lot of, like I said, we do a lot of celebrities and a lot of reality stars. So we do have gained a a big buzz in the Instagram community, and now on TikTok too.
There you go. Check her out. DolceAestheticsNY.com with locations in Brooklyn and Queens. You are chatting to the queen herself, celebrity injector Jennifer Dilandro. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It was such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much, Jen. Have a great day.
You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WR, the voice of New York. I am your host, Zen Sams. We'll be right back after this.